On the pitch. Mm-hmm. So this is the thing. There's movement between the sticks.
Yep.
There's movement in defense,
Yep.
and there's movement in midfield. There's no movement in attack, which is weird because I would have thought this is actually where the movement should be. But let's quickly go through those areas of the pitch. In goal, reportedly Altay Bayındır, who is a 25-year-old goalkeeper at Fenerbahce, had some injury concerns last year. He's undergone a medical. We're talking about a $7 million deal. I'm assuming, given that he's 25 and not 18, they're thinking, this is number 2, Dean Henderson, move on. Mm-hmm. Problem is, as far as we know, the clubs that really wanted Dean Henderson were Nottingham Forest.
Yep.
And that ship has sailed, right?
Yeah.
Because they got Matt Turner. I'm assuming, unless they really want to troll.
Unless they do an Arsenal and have 2 top-class goalkeepers, yeah?
Not just top-class goalkeepers, but Dean Henderson and Matt Turner as well.
Yep.
Sorry. That was mean.
The goalkeepers union will be having a word with you later.
Okay, but you were a goalkeeper. It makes
I'm still a member of the union.
There you go. It makes no sense having 2 guys who think that they should be number 1.
You always have a number 1 and some guy that is almost a number 1. If he is this guy they're signing, we had to Google him. He's a Turkish international. He's played top-level football. He's 25. He's £7 million or euros, whichever kind of domination you work with. He's Raymond van der Houw. He's Roy Carroll from a previous age. He's the guy that will come in for the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup.
Which I think makes sense. I mean, to me, the formula
and if you
is...
can buy him for 7 and sell Henderson for double that, then financial fair play. They're balancing the scales.
Henderson, we were actually thinking 30 million earlier in the summer because he has 2 years left on his deal.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's the option deal, which always seems to be there at
exactly,
United. Yeah. But the guy legitimately, I mean, the guy was an England keeper, right? I think he's a very good goalkeeper.
And probably will be again.
So what's holding up a move? He's been linked with Palace as well. Is that the most likely destination?
I guess it's for him. He's got a few days till the transfer deadline closes, hasn't he? He wants his next best destination. Because that is going to be the club that he's probably going to be at for the next 5 years. He's going to get a 5-year contract. Does he go to Forest? Chances are they get relegated. They've signed somebody else. Does he go to Crystal Palace? Well, not bad. Roy Hodgson, there. He's going to be mid-table. He's going to be a goalkeeper at a mid-table team. Yeah, well, in the ideal world. But they could be. That's where they currently stand. And then he's a mid-table goalkeeper, hoping that he's going to get in the England team. Jordan Pickford is the England goalkeeper. He's playing at a team that are probably going to get relegated this year. So it's in the court of the player. For United, they're getting, I don't know what he's on, but I would imagine he's on a salary that is a lot bigger than Bayındır, who they're bringing in, and they're going to make cash by getting rid of him and bringing the guy in from Turkey as well. So I think it's in his court to see what's out there. He doesn't want to be United's reserve goalkeeper for the rest of the season. He wants to be going, playing, and impressing the England manager.
I'm just surprised he hasn't pushed for a move more.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if United screwed this up a little bit by not making clear to him earlier, because obviously the whole situation with De Gea and the pay cut and Onana, it's not like Onana came, early in the window. He came later. I think at this stage it's best for everybody if he moves. United get some cash in, and it's better, I think, for his career. Now, at the risk of repeating myself, all of this applies to Harry Maguire as well.
Yep.
I've spoken endlessly about this. You know my views. We cannot raise professional athletes. And again, you can speak to this too. Tell them, believe in yourself, try hard, blah, blah, blah. You can change a coach's mind, blah, 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 right? We cannot go drill this in them their entire lives and when they're children, especially somebody like Maguire who's overcome adversity before in his career and won it and won, and then expect them to just say, oh, look, I'm rubbish. Lisandro Martinez, especially when the people ahead of them, again, I go back to this, are Lisandro, who's 3 feet tall, right, very good, but whatever. I mean, I'm thinking like Maguire, right?
Yep.
Varane, who's made of glass. Lindelof, who's Lindelof. And he's like, this is my competition. Are you really telling me, the England captain, that I cannot convince you, Coach Eric, that I can't win your trust again?
Do you think there's a player in there with Maguire? Do you think if he goes elsewhere, he's just not cursed at Manchester United? It seems when he puts on that red shirt, he plays well for 90% of the game, doesn't he? And then there's that 10%. And we did a game recently on ESPN, did the Bilbao. He was a 9 out of 10, and then he makes one crazy error. And it's almost like he's got this little kind of mental scar in his mind when he pulls that United shirt on.
Because, we heard the story about the 120 million budget that they had this summer, net of sales coming in. They spent money on Mount. They spent money on Højlund. They were hoping to raise some money and get his wages off the books. Now it's tough. I would expect something to happen between now and the end of the window. But equally, Harry Maguire has a right to stand his ground, because
Absolutely.
that's how he's been conditioned. And I think United, have to accept that. And they've been through it before with Phil Jones. I'm not saying Maguire's in Phil Jones territory. He's not.
Yeah.
But, that's where we are, right?
Yeah, the ball is in his court. It's player power these days. He's an England international. He's on big money. He's a top six player. If he was leaving United, he should be going to one of these perceived top six clubs. Doesn't seem that any of them are coming in for him. Somebody joked to me the other day that Liverpool have made a bid, but it's only to catch Chelsea out. Harry Maguire do a decent job at Liverpool if he could just get rid of this kind of mental obstacle that he's at Manchester United. I don't think he'll play for United again. I think he'll probably go somewhere between now and the transfer deadline, but he's only going to go where he wants to go to, because he's on big money. He's an England international. Gareth Southgate picks him every time. He's a different player when he puts on the three lines and he plays for England, and somebody potentially is going to invest in a player like that. But he needs to be in that top six, top eight of the Premier League, not going to Everton, not going to Crystal Palace. Don't think he wants to go abroad. Why would he go abroad when he's got his family and a house, and a beautiful house, and he's carved a career over here?
You've been to his house, have you? Beautiful?
I've got to pass it. You don't get anywhere close to the house. I did when he was at Hull, actually, but certainly not when he's at Manchester United.
If he does move on, Jean-Claire Todibo's been mentioned from me. He's a guy who, went through kind of the familiar arc of hugely rated youngster, some difficult times. Now it's turned into a very good, I think a very, very solid professional. Is it obvious that if Maguire goes, they have to bring in another defender? Or can you get by with Shaw as your emergency left-sided centre back and the other three guys?
Well, they probably could at the moment. Well, you got Lindelof still there, isn't he? You've got Lisandro. Shaw had to play last year when they had a crisis. I think they need somebody that is going to be a step above those guys, or at least on the same level, rather than somebody that's going to be coming in and a deputy for them. I said before, United used to go shopping at Harrods. They used to go shopping for the best central defender out there in the world, and they're not doing that now. They're trying to get somebody, as you say, somebody a little bit younger, with a little bit of value in there that they think they can bring in and maybe steal for 40, 50, 60 million. That seems to be their kind of price range at the moment. Yeah. But yes, I think they need somebody in that department, central midfield as well, and I actually think they need a goal getter as well.
All right, well, we'll get to those two, because these are my next two topics that I have here.
It's like I read your mind.
Mason Mount is out for 6 weeks, which obviously doesn't help, but equally, he's there to be the Eriksen 2.0, and you still have Eriksen 1.0 kicking about, so you go with Eriksen there. I don't think that is a massive thing. Obviously, Mount's had a really rocky start. I personally feel that I thought they were short on midfielders last season in terms of central runaround type midfielders rather than quality guys. And now they're one man down because Fred is gone, right? I hear about how wonderful Cobby is and he's ready to step in. Well, until I see the guy play regularly, I can't answer that. All I see now is Fred is gone, and it's Casemiro, who, he's north of 30. He's not going to be phenomenal every game. And McTominay, who's had his injury concerns and who some people simply don't think is good enough to start for United. Sure. They need somebody. They've been linked with Amrabat. They've been linked so much with Amrabat that I kind of feel like, who Fiorentina, by the way, have sent to, he's training on his own in case there's a possible move or whatever. Surely they got to be. Surely this is even more of a priority than centre back.
You would think if you're going back a decade or 2 decades ago, United would be looking at there for the best midfielder that they think money could buy, that they could prize out of another club at the moment. They should have been looking at Bellingham. They should have been signing Bellingham. They should have been signing Rice. In the Alex Ferguson era, they would have gone for that player. They used to handpick a player every year. Be Dwight York one year, Roy Keane another year, Cole another year, Sheringham, Ferdinand. Who was the best player out there that we could get? And that was the old Manchester United.
Sheringham was 1,000 years old when he joined them. I don't think that's the best example, Rob.
But he was doing well.
Yeah,
he was at the top of his game at the time.
Yeah.
And they managed to squeeze a few years out of him as well.
I think they might have won a treble with him too.
Yeah, you could liken him to Harry Kane now, couldn't you?
Course,
Harry Kane's in the autumn years of his career, and you would, again, United should be signing him. But this is modern football and they can't do it. But you've seen Amrabat. Is Amrabat a top 6 English Premier League player? You've seen a lot more of him than me. Most of them saw him do a brilliant job in the World Cup from Morocco, and he stood out there. But is he good enough for that top level to take Manchester United to the next level? Or is he just another body?
He's another body, but he's another body that they need. He's a body who's going to work hard. Is Amrabat going to come and turn into, a Roy Keane, Brian Robson cocktail? No,
Game
he's not.
changer. Yeah.
Casemiro will still be the starter in the way he wants to play. He likes having a more attacking guy like Mount alongside him. That's fine. But it's a long season, the United. They're in the Champions League. They've got a lot of competitions. Casemiro's not getting any younger. And otherwise, you're just stuck with McTominay, who gets injured too. And then what?
Yeah.
So for me,
and McTominay feels unloved as well, doesn't he? He's not getting games. He knows he's just making up the team picture at the start of the season.
Unless they know something about Kobe that we don't. And again, he's supposed to be very, very exciting, but he needs to be fit. He needs to be playing, I think, for you to make that assessment. So I would expect movement there in central midfield. May not be Amrabat, maybe somebody else. Mm-hmm. Up front is the one which has left me absolutely befuddled. Okay, because I don't think Anthony Martial. Yeah, I'll get to him too.
He's a constant. He's always there. Yeah.
I don't think Marcus Rashford should be playing center forward for Manchester United. I don't think it's his best position. I don't think it's where you get the best out of him. It feels like right now he's like, well, I've got Garnacho, I've got Sancho, I've got other options on the left. I don't have other options up front. Let me play Rashford there. But if you're going to build towards something, you want Rashford in the position where he's best, which is cutting in from the left-hand side. In terms of strikers, they have Højlund. We haven't seen him yet. But even if he'd been fit, this guy's 20 years old. And people have drawn comparisons to Erling Haaland. The difference is Haaland had several seasons at a very high level before coming to Manchester City. Højlund does not. He's got 1 year at Atalanta where I think he made 20 Serie A starts. Before that, he was in Austria. It's just not the same thing. Yes, I know Haaland was in Austria as well, but Haaland was also playing in the Champions League. For me, it's a no-brainer. I would have thought you bring in, not Wout Weghorst, but a Wout Weghorst type. A veteran striker, maybe even on loan. There's no shame in taking players on loan. A guy who can be there, eat up minutes, who Rashford and Anthony can play off, and Bruno and whatever. No fuss, no muss. Get you some goals. Take some minutes. Take some of that pressure off of Højlund. And I think you could do that relatively cheaply if it's a loan. There's no indication that's going to happen.
That's modern-day Manchester United. I mean, I dealt with Manchester United in the 90s, in the 2000s as well. I used to be able to sit down with Alex Ferguson once a month and do an interview with him for Granada Television, and that became the official United. They went shopping for the best player. Manchester United of old would have been looking last March, April, and going, Vinny Jr. is having a problem at Real Madrid. He's not happy there. Maybe we could get in there and have a word with his agent, and maybe we could. That's the kind of player they want. They want to be looking at someone like Vinicius Jr., who's the best that might be attainable, that's not entirely happy in his surroundings. Yeah. And you're talking about getting another Wout Weghorst, and or somebody that has got similarities in his lifestyle patterns to the guy that's playing at Manchester City. I don't know much about Højlund. You see, again, he's a YouTube player. You see him on there. He scores goals. He looks the part. He's a lovely lad. But is he somebody that's going to come in at the age of 20 and turn Manchester United's season around? You're right. They need somebody ahead of him, somebody at the peak of his powers, an Osimhen or somebody like that that's going to come in and score lots of goals.
Again, every indication is that ship has sailed. So I think you still need to put out a competitive team. You have to finish top four, continue the forward progress for Erik ten Hag, which, there's a school of thought that says, and look, last year they finished top four with Weghorst, right? Yeah. So the rest of the team isn't that bad. Erik ten Hag isn't that, awful, right?
Oh, no.
So I think that's really important. I expect, to me, logic dictates movement there, but United haven't really followed logic. Certainly not my logic in recent years. So
I don't think
we'll see where
logic,
they are.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.